Wild Lupin Media, thank you so much for taking care of all of this for us. Yay! AVNS TV, watch that. They've got all kinds of cool stuff on there. I was looking at that last night. Valerie and I are on there from the last Refresh meeting. It was so funny. Oh yeah, hi to my brother. And Hub Annapolis Valley for logistics. That's me. So thank you so much for being here. That was a great session this morning. Lots taking us all kinds of different places. Lots of different thoughts, change, disruption, positive disruption around the world. So we're going to carry on that theme. The session this morning had 204 places around the world watching that. So it wasn't just us, and it wasn't just those in Seattle. We're part of a group that's all over the world. And the reason I got involved in this is I went to the TED Global, and as I'm sitting in the second row looking up at the stage at these incredible speakers, I thought I have to bring that back to Nova Scotia. And that's what we've done. This is our 12th event, of TEDx Nova Scotia. This is so cool. And I just wanted, and one of the things that I have done because I'm a TEDx organizer is I got to go to Doha, Qatar. That one doesn't work. And meet TEDx organizers from around the world. So there were 700 of us last April talking about ideas worth spreading in TEDx. And I wanted to share that with you. So what we're going to do is show that quick intro video from Chris talking about the TEDx and how we are part of a whole much bigger thing. So let's go, Joe.
Don't worry about it, Patricia. 204 sites saw that.
Are you serious?
No.
No.
I'm just giving you a positive disruption.
You're good. Maybe we won't watch.
Now today, you're part of a truly remarkable global phenomenon. Around the world, thousands of people have been gathering in meetings to experience the power of ideas. A surprising thing about today's meeting is that we here at TED have had almost nothing to do with it. We lent our name, our format, a few simple guidelines, and some of our content. But the really hard work to make today happen has been down to your local organisers, and we're truly in awe at the passion and dedication that they have shown to make something like this work. A thank you to you too for taking the time out to come and be part of this exciting conversation about our shared future. Now please write and tell us what you make of the event today. But for now, on with the show.
All right, we're part of a bigger thing. So this is, we're doing a live portion here, and as I'm looking around the room, I'm seeing every single person here could be up here talking about how they are positively disrupting our community. So just a quick thank you to everybody here who does really cool things in our community. Yahoo! So we had to pick a couple, and we did. Patricia Bishop, who has got farming innovation on both sides of her family. Married into and born into farming, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And she disrupted the area by going, of course, organic. Who wouldn't? Except most. She's got a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture System. She's a counselor in our community, so she's making things happen on that front. Thank you for that. She's a forward thinker and a boundary stretcher. So take it away, Patricia.
Thanks, Francis. Well, thank you so much for having me here, and thank you, Francis, for inviting me. TED is very exciting, and this morning we had such a meaningful time here watching what was happening in Seattle live feed, and quite frankly, I feel truly emotional because in the last number of years, my life has changed in so many ways. I started off being born here in Kings County, Nova Scotia, in a small little community called Greenwich, to a family farm operation that had been here since the expulsion of the Acadians and the importation of all of the planters to the land. And through my upbringing, I think that somehow or another there became a real deep connectedness to some kind of strong values that were really about the land and about agriculture and the value of the farm, and especially small farmers. And so when we were watching earlier today about the small farm holdings in Africa and the impact that small holding farmers have around the world, I felt really emotional, and especially since I just recently came back from Kenya, where I was working with small-scale farmers and women farmers. And through all of these sort of experiences that I've had to date in my life, somehow or other I connected with the right people that in October of 2012 I sent in an application to a small organization called Farmers Helping Farmers. And Farmers Helping Farmers is a woman-inspired organization in small Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, that is a small NGO that's connecting with small farmers, women farmers, through women's groups in rural Kenya. So I applied to do some work with this group of women, and the work was about building capacity and supporting the women in terms of skills training, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of learning about seed varieties that work really well for them, supporting them in storage capacity, increasing the ability for their crops to last longer into the year. And so all sorts of things that are very, very connected to all of the other topics that we're thinking about with regards to change and about positively disrupting and having some impact on the status quo. And so when I was there, I met with about 34 to 40 women and worked with them at developing business models and creating goals and ideas for them to move forward on for themselves, to benefit things that they wanted to see happen for themselves and for their family, and to create action plans for them to be able to fulfill their goals and their dreams. Because one of the things I learned when I was there with the women is that they don't actually do a whole lot of planning beyond 1 month or 2 months. Because the history for them has been that beyond 1 or 2 months, everything's unpredictable. They can only really plan for just this moment in time. They organize their work around seasons, the rainy season and the dry season. And one of the things that Farmers Helping Farmers is working to do is to help them build capacity to have a more constant availability of high nutrient vegetables. And so they are supporting them with trickle irrigation and screen houses to be able to ensure that the birds do not eat the vegetables and the fruit that are green because they have trickle irrigation. And so the women are learning how to rethink differently about having crops available every day, every week, instead of once or twice a year. And this is a really big deal because for me, as a small farmer in Nova Scotia, I've had a huge learning curve too. A huge learning curve going from growing up on a conventionally or non-organic based agricultural system to what my values are, moving towards an organic based agricultural system. And learning through my experience of deciding to do a business model that's a community shared agriculture model. To saying, okay, I can't just have one crop that is the thing that I depend on for my income. I have to be diversified, and I have to have a continual supply of all kinds of different vegetables throughout the season. And so through this experience of learning over the last 5 years for myself about continuous plantings, organic agriculture methods and practices, I was able then to use that experience that I've had here with the support of a tremendous community of people for those same values of organics and community and nutrition with the women of Kenya that I worked with in terms of, okay, how can we think about always having some zucchini all the time, every day of the year, because in Kenya you can actually have zucchini every day of the year, to be able to, if not feed yourself, to feed some of the animals that you're keeping on your small farm. How can we ensure that we learn how to plant and how to start our transplant greenhouses to ensure that we have enough plants that every 3 or 4 weeks we're replenishing our tomatoes or our peppers. So these are the kinds of things that we were working on together, and so much of the learning that I've had today of listening to other people speak has impacted me in that around community and around women and around the power of women. And especially around how, you know, when we sit and we listen and we allow ourselves to share, no matter where we are in the whole entire world, if we sit together and we share and we try to challenge ourselves to create solutions to problems that we have locally, there's success. And there's all kinds of ideas that blossom out of just that sitting together, sharing, and being committed to wanting to solve a problem together. And that's what I experienced when I was in Kenya, and that's what I've experienced here over the years, is that there's so many amazing people who want to work together to create positive solutions. And so I suppose for me, I've had many positive disruptions throughout my whole life, and I'm sure all of you have as well. And I think that probably the one of the most poignant ones that keeps me feeling very focused around what I choose to do every day is the one where I had children. Because somehow through that experience, and maybe I was as equally committed before, but I never knew it because I was so young when I had them, but through that, it's like whenever I come back to evaluating about what it is that I'm doing, I wonder if that's going to be something that's going to be hopefully of benefit to another generation of people. And so I am very passionate and have worked very hard over these years around agricultural land and the protection of agricultural land and the protection of farmers and small farmers. And when I was in Kenya, one of the things that we struggle with globally, I think, is a true awareness of what's really happening with agriculture and with our food and with nutrition. And then a belief that some of the things that we learn about can possibly really be happening. And so land grabbing is something that's been discussed a lot sort of globally as a major issue. And when I traveled to Kenya, I have this poignant moment where I was traveling for 5 hours north of Nairobi, and for about 40 minutes I drove through a section where all that it was extremely large, massive farms. Before that section and after that section, the landscape was different. The landscape was full of people, was full of animals, was full of diversity. You could tell the small little plantings of a crop here and a small planting of the crop there. It was very obvious that it was all very much a small holding type space. And then we get to this one spot and it was this large section, no people, just large-scale agriculture, and most of them were all flower greenhouse operations. Not owned, according to the people that I spoke to there, by Kenyan people, but by foreign investors. And they're shipping flowers to other places around the world. And so when I come back home and I try to rationalize all of this, I think about here as well in terms of the struggles that we have around supporting small-scale agriculture, and around agricultural land and what its worth is and how we determine its worth and what is its best use in our communities. And it's kind of just resonates with me, I suppose, that the issues that we're facing here in Nova Scotia are real around land and around small farmers surviving, and they're real in Kenya in the same way, with more drastic consequences, I think, because some people that means they're not going to have anything to eat, and that's their reality. But I felt very much in my travels to Kenya that what we're experiencing here in Nova Scotia and what the women are experiencing there in Kenya are all very much the same things, and that we forget every day that we're all like, you know, a global community and a global citizen. And one thing that's so exciting for me about TED is how it brings us all brings us all together in this way. And that you feel like, wow, okay, you know, somebody over there is speaking about something and it's just like really resonating with exactly what's happening here as well. So kind of all over the board for me, but very much that we have a very lovely, wonderful community here. We have a lovely community around the world, and one of the things that I think is so important is how we decide every day what we're going to do in terms of supporting ourselves here and our others around the world, and that's really, for me, one of the most real powerful things we can do is choose how we make our decisions, and to not be feeling that we're that there's disconnectedness from those decisions, that there's an impact to every decision that we make in some way or another, and to be not sort of just disregarding that intense value. So now for me, after having traveled there, I look at the flowers and I'm thinking, I never thought about figuring out where the flowers come from before, but now I'm going to have to start thinking about where my flowers come from. Because I've been doing it about food, and now I'm doing it about clothes, and now I'm going to be doing it about flowers. And soon, you know, it keeps on expanding the impact that the globe is having around my decisions. So I just want to thank Frances for organizing this, and thank you for being here, and yeah, just thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts.
Thank you, Patricia. I know you have to fly. Thank you for fitting us in. Thank you. That was awesome. That was awesome. I hadn't thought of that. Yes, food. Yes, clothes. Flowers. And everything else.